Alan, welcome back to Horror Movies and Shit. Unfortunately, Mark's not with us. He had a little too much storm damage, so he was not able to join. He won't even have power back until Wednesday at the earliest. So,
I'm really
um,
sorry to hear, and I'm sending him my love from Belgium and to you too, and everyone who's been, affected by it,
I appreciate
honestly.
that. We got off very lucky on this coast. We didn't. We I never even lost power, so
hmm
we got off very lucky. Oh, Brian's here. Hey, Brian. So, Alan, we the last time we talked, which was what, a year ago now. Uh,
Must have been, yeah. The debut was
your
out
debut.
1st of October last year, yeah.
Yep, your debut novel, Europia Halls, had come out, and I got a chance to read it, and it was amazing.
Thank you.
Um, but you've been very busy since then.
Quite, yeah.
Hi, Lori. So you now have four books out. You've done two sequels to Europia Halls, which, to be perfectly honest, I have not had a chance to pick up yet.
No
And you have a new
worries. Still love you.
called the Nam. You have a new one out called the Namaste Slasher.
Yep, indeed. Yeah.
So take us on the journey through Europia Halls. We were familiar with the first book from a previous podcast episode, but tell us what to look forward to in the next two.
Yeah, so maybe I'll do my author thing and quickly show. It's the first one.
Yep, that's
It's
beautiful.
about a boarding school in Brussels, kind of homage to 90 slashers. Then the follow-up is called Summer in Budapest. I'm from Brussels, by the way, so the first one set in my hometown, but I also used to live in Budapest for a while. And it's about whoever made it through the first one. So the survivors of the first one basically kind of hones in more on queer representation, a lot more than the first one.
Hmm.
So I kind of became a little bit more self-confident to be more authentically me with the writing. With a
Yep.
debut, you're always thinking like, well, I guess there was a lot of self-doubt and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I wanted to have more queer rep in there. So I had sensitivity readers help me out because there's like aromantic and asexual main characters, for example, as well.
Mhm.
More focus on mental health awareness too, because we really explore PTSD and what PTSD really means in these kind of cases. Because sadly, that's something I've been in treatment for a couple of years too. So it's something that's very close to my heart.
Yep.
And I felt like I could be a little bit more vulnerable in the sequel because I thought whoever would enjoy the first one hopefully would pick up the second one and read the trilogy at whatever point in life.
Yep.
So it's more about all these little tiny daily struggles that are quite invisible with PTSD disorder. And then the third one, which is the roundup of the trilogy, Europea Halls, takes us back to the boarding school in Brussels. To if someone made it through the second one or not, I can't say too much, but it kind
Yep.
of
You don't want to lose.
centers again on the queer rep and also about found family quite a lot, and which kind of grew very organically because it wasn't planned out. I just knew who the killer or killers were from the get-go, but other
Right.
than that, we kind of, went in there organically, I'd say.
That's awesome. I really enjoyed the first book. I know it took me a little while to read it, unfortunately, because I'm slow at reading.
No
But I
worries.
mean, they're not very long books. Like they're novella length, correct?
The first one, yeah, the second and the third, sorry to tell you, are a little bit longer. I
That's
think
okay.
second one is 240, the third one is 220 or something. And then the Namaste Slasher, same length. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So tell us about the Namaste Slasher.
I've got the baby here too. This one was just released 2 weeks ago.
You have some of the
Um,
best covers. I swear to God.
yeah, well, I'll give a shout out because these three have been made by Matt Barnes, who's from close to London, and he's extremely good at what he does. He does a lot of covers for also on books of horror, different authors. And
Hmm.
this fella I found because I was kind of stalking him for years on Instagram before, because he makes a lot of specifically slasher movie posters of like
Yeah.
a lot of indie slashers, including one that's coming out in a month, a UK slasher, like a Christmas one. And I
I
was
feel
like,
like your audio got turned down, Alan. I can barely hear you.
yeah, hold on, let me see if it's from my side or I'm just checking. It seems the same, so I don't know if it's on 100% for me. Still the same for you,
Oh,
or?
yeah, that's right. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, it's a bit louder from your end now. I don't know, which
I
is
can't
fine.
hear you at all now.
No? Wait,
Hang on a second.
I'll mute and un.
Let
How about
me
now?
do this.
Jim in the
It,
house?
yeah, it's me. I don't know why, but my Zoom just switched speakers on me.
Okay. But you can still hear
There,
me now?
yeah, now I can hear you again.
Now it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. Let's
This
continue.
is This is as natural as it gets. It's perfect.
Exactly.
And I wanted
Uh,
to give a shout out to this guy too, because he's called Are They All Dead on Instagram and on TikTok, and he does a lot of movie posters. And this is the first cover he's ever done for a book, so it's
wow.
kind of a nice collab. And the thing I'm in a very geeky way most proud of is that Victor Miller, the writer of Friday the 13th, the first one, I sent the book to him. We had some chats. I interviewed him, and he blurbed this book for me. So that was a nice little extra touch because it's kind of Friday the 13th meets mindfulness retreats because it's set on a mindfulness retreat in the mountains of Croatia with people from all
Okay.
over Europe who want to kind of find grounding and introspection because they've gone through different types of trauma. Yeah, and then all of a sudden a guy in a Buddha mask shows up and there's a lot of folkloric elements too, like Slavic folklore is in there, like Eastern European folklore. And
Okay.
it's way more spiritual than the other works too. It's not as grounded, and there's definitely some twists that I don't want to give away, but it's very different. That European Halls is very grounded and 90s slasher. You're like
Yep.
Urban Legend, I know what you did last summer. This one gets a little bit of yeah, like paganism, Slavic folklore in there.
So what was your inspiration for the Namaste Slasher? What gave you the idea to write a book that's still a slasher but so different and not as grounded in reality as your first three?
I guess it's because, well, I meditate every day. I have been for 4 or 5 years,
Okay.
like 1 or 2 hours a day. So I thought like the place that I feel most grounded and safest is when I'm meditating. That's the only time when there's no anxiety, no external or internal factors that come to play. And I thought, what if you bring that together with a killer or like a lethal situation, and you have like the dichotomy of safety versus, well, not safety. And even in the title itself, like Namaste is usually, the Indian connection to feeling grounded and being connected to Buddhism or spirituality. And then slasher, you know, kind of shows the other side. So it's quite campy in a way. It's a bit self-mockery. I always like mocking myself. And I think a lot of that is definitely in this book. There's a lot of humor in there, but at the same time, it goes a bit deeper too, because it does talk about trauma quite a lot.
Okay.
So,
Well, I mean that makes sense if they're on a mindfulness retreat, right? Because the whole point
mhm.
of that is for them to deal with the things that are affecting them, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it was fun to play with with the kill scenes too, because you can really go, let's just say certain objects that healing crystals will never be the same after reading them done.
So I'm curious, do you have like we talked when I was reading Europia Halls, the first one, about the chase scene where the girl makes it to her neighbor's house. Do
Yeah,
you have more like that? More
yeah,
chase like that?
I'm a
Because
sucker for
that
chase scenes. Yeah,
that was that was just genius. Like I
thank you.
loved the way that that whole scene played out. It was beautiful.
Yeah, even in the rest of the European Horse trilogy, I think the thing that I love most is, well, getting a bit more character development. Definitely goes deeper in number 2 and 3 of European Horse, but the chase scenes, I really got to play with the city of Budapest, for example, in a second, because I used to live there and it's a very imposing, impressive city. So having the chain bridge, for example, which is this big, big bridge, and they're having a big chase scene when there's all these tourists around and they see someone getting chased and killed or not killed. It's really fun to play with chase scenes during in the middle of like broad daylight, for example. So
Yes,
it's not your typical little alleyway in the dark.
right.
And the same with Namaste Slasher. It's in the middle of summer, bright daylight in summer.
I don't know, but there's one chase scene that takes place in an alleyway in the dark that you really, really love.
I know it did last summer. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the name Helen Shivers comes from. That's true.
Yep.
The pen name. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, definitely. Gotta love Helen Shivers. Shout out to Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Everybody loves Sarah Michelle Gellar in the 90s. So,
Yeah, you
and I
should
still
do.
love Sarah Michelle Gellar. She's great.
Absolutely, yeah. She's coming back now too, so that's good.
Oh, JJ's here, or Freak, better known as Freak.
Ah, yeah, great.
He says
Is it?
it's not a good slasher without a chase. And he's
There you
right.
go.
He's
Amen.
absolutely
Amen,
right.
sis.
Have you
Exactly.
read his book?
No, but it's on the third of my TBR, so it's
It
a
is
number
so
because I
much
have two
fun.
arcs, and then yeah, I've read already a lot of good stuff about it, and lovely
It was,
person as well. So
well, let's not get carried away.
he's
I'm totally kidding.
been lovely to me, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
So
he's a great guy. Hey, Bruce Ladd is also watching. He's
hey,
another good
people.
friend of the show. He's a good guy. Um, he actually just acted in a short, I think it was a short film, and got his name put on a trailer for the first time. So
Oh, cool. Congrats.
yeah,
Big steps. Yeah, nice.
sorry about the dog.
No worries. Mine's here too, but she's sleeping behind me. My little don't know if you can see.
Oh
My
yeah.
little stray doggy, my Romanian woofter.
Nice. My niece has a Great
Oh
Dane,
man.
and he's a moose. Sweetest dog in the world, but such a moose. That's why I call him.
Yeah, sadly they don't live that long, do they? Because they're quite like tall, but
I,
lovely
I
dogs, beautiful dogs.
I couldn't say for sure, but he is just the nicest, sweetest dog. And then I have a little Chihuahua, and he's a little motherfucker. Like he is the nastiest dog in the world.
The
And
smallest ones always overcompensate,
yep,
micro dicks probably. So
yeah,
there you
right.
go.
So I was curious about you said that you felt more confident.
Hmm.
Oh, it was a TV show for Netflix. I'm wrong. Awesome, Chris. Awesome. You did a
Oh,
show for
nice
Netflix.
one.
That's amazing. Please give us the details when you can.
Yes, please do.
Um, but now I forgot where I was going to go with this.
Something with self-confident, you said, or?
Yeah, so you said with the first book in the Europia Halls trilogy
Hmm.
that you toned down the queer rep a little bit, just to get your feelers out there and stuff, which makes sense. How has the confidence that you're starting to build, given that you're now on your fourth book, how has
Hmm.
that changed your writing style? And I don't just mean for queer rep, I just mean in
Yeah.
general. What is different about what you write now versus what you wrote with your first book?
Think I've learned a lot from the debut, from my editor, my proofreader, also from people's reviews, people's positive, negative, neutral feedback. I think you learn a lot, and I think you need to be able to take stuff on board and handle criticism.
Hmm.
Most of it was like predominantly very positive, but of course there's things you can work on, you need to work on. And
Yes.
it's not like now I'm there or anything, no, but it has progressed a lot. And I feel
Yeah.
like with the editor as well, she also says there's less to correct, for example. There's of course the element that I'm not a native English speaker, so that doesn't make it that easy to write in another language, but it
Right.
does help me to strengthen English as well and just strengthen the way that I write.
Um,
Um, yeah, I do feel more self-confident, and I gotten some. I've taken some big twists and gambles in the Namaste Slasher that I know some people will appreciate and some people probably really hate, but that's fine.
I'm really curious. Are your books available in your native language too?
No, so I'm a Dutch speaker and French as well in Brussels. No, and that's kind of been the problem with visibility in Belgium that nobody knows who I am, which is great. I mean, it's absolutely fine, except for like
Hmm.
my family and my friends. But most of the readers are Anglophone, so like Americans or Australia or England
Okay.
or the UK. No, and I don't plan on doing that either because I feel like slasher is inherently quite an Anglophone genre, so it's nice to
Okay.
play with that. You
That's
still
fair.
have all the European culture in my books, which is
Right.
nice.
Yes.
That
I
makes it
agree.
unique, I hope. But MILF man, sorry, just saw your t-shirt.
Oh yes, man, I love Frogman. We interviewed the director on here a little while
Oh,
back. I
great.
bought the t-shirt.
Good support.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my next question. Do we have a merch shop?
No, I'm getting a lot of special editions out to conventions for next year. The next year I'm going to the States for Books and Brews 2 to Indiana.
When is that?
That is the 2nd of August is like the main day, but it's a 4-day event and
Okay.
like 56 different authors come. And I'm also going to Canterbury and I've been invited to BIFF, which is the biggest European horror film festival, and it's
Oh,
in Brussels. And I'm really, I mean, I've gone there like I've visited like 6, 7 times over the years living here. I never, so it's pretty cool that they they were the first ones from my hometown, my home city,
yep.
to reach out and give me that chance. So I'm getting like box sets, hardcover, special editions,
Right.
those things. But the merch will probably happen, but everything is on a budget, man. If you're indie, so you need to
Yeah,
take it step by step, you know. So
absolutely. Absolutely. I just bullied one of my other indie horror author friends into opening a merch shop on Printful. So he's got some stuff coming out.
yeah, but I think it's probably easier. I'm not sure, but if you're already from the States and you're sending stuff around the States, but in the beginning, for example, people asked for signed copies, but I'm from Belgium. So by the
Right.
time we got to the States, I would end up spending so much, and I don't want to ask
Yes.
readers to pay for that. It's not fair on
Yeah.
readers. The fact that they're already showing interest is should be enough. So
Yeah, that's fair. Because
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I will if I can make it to Indiana, I will probably get you to sign my copy of the book.
You better do. I mean, if I can fly 8.5 hours to fly into Chicago and then 3, 4 hours road trip,
Yeah.
it'll be a horror trip all on its own, I'm sure. So yeah, I'm not the
Actually,
biggest fan of flying, so
I was in Chicago last year and I had a blast. I loved it.
it's a
I
great city. Yeah.
The only thing that scared me was riding the L because at one point you tip a little bit back
Ooh,
and forth,
okay.
but it's secure. You're not going anywhere. It's just that you lean and it's a little too much of a lean for my taste.
What is an L? Is it like a metro or something? Or
Yeah, it's an elevated train.
okay. Hmm. Okay. Need to teach these things to non-native because I was like, what the heck is an
Yeah,
L?
sorry. I don't even know if that's what Chicago calls it. That's what they used to call it in New York. Hey
Ah,
Karen,
okay,
our
okay.
buddy Karen is watching.
Hey, Karen.
So Chris wants to know, would you eventually like to see your books adapted to film?
Yes, absolutely. That's, I would say, the main goal for this. Because I mean, even when I was writing it, it was a very visual um, process,
Yep.
and things are moving, but I can't say anything yet. But there's definitely stuff in early days of something something. So yes, it'll happen. It might be in a couple of months, might be in 2, 3 years, but something's is very likely to happen. I can
That's
say by now.
amazing. You'll have
Thank
to
you.
keep us posted.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't want to jinx myself either, so I can't say more
No,
now, but
yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
we don't want to pressure you.
Hmm.
Uh, so Karen is saying that Namaste Slasher would be awesome to be adapted, and she has to read Europia Halls now. So I'm guessing
I
she already read
appreciate
Namaste Slasher.
appreciate that's very kind of you, Karen. Thanks. Yeah, I don't think I have seen a slasher that takes place in a mindfulness retreat and then with the European setting in the countryside in Croatia. I think it has some cool, hopefully some cool like unique elements that we haven't seen put together yet, and then the queer rep.
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of elements that would work nowadays,
Yep.
which is the way I'm pitching it. So,
I absolutely agree. Oh, she was one of your ARC readers. She stayed up all night to read it.
okay, I know now which one. Yeah, yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, yeah, but she was very positive about it, so I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Karen's awesome. I love Karen to death. She's one of the first people I met on Horror Talk, and her and Veronica are two of my besties now. So
Oh, cuties.
they're great. They're great people, and she lives in Connecticut. So I mean, you can't be bad. I grew up in Connecticut.
Okay, fair, whatever that means, but sure.
It's where I'm from originally. That's
Okay.
where I grew up. She says, Jim, the queer people happen to be queer like people. It's amazing. That's awesome.
There you go. Yeah,
I
it's not
can't
like
wait
their
to.
determining factor, let's say, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of my biggest problems um, with a lot of queer rep in horror when it's not written from the POV. Like when the author is obviously trying to provide queer rep, but it doesn't
Yeah.
feel authentic because they've not had the experience. There's
Hmm.
only so much
Hmm.
you can get into or communicate most times if you don't have experience with that part of life. Like it would be like me reading about writing about racism. I haven't experienced that.
Hmm.
So no matter how much I try, it's still going to feel a bit inauthentic. It'll never quite get to that realism part.
Yeah, I agree to a certain extent. I think if you do research, and I don't mean just Googling stuff, but
Yeah.
actually, like I was doing with the aromantic and asexual in the trilogy, I talked to 50, 60 people. And to each of them, I talked 1 or 2 hours, and took notes. And I think if you properly do your research and you show respect for the people that you talk to, and then you
Yep.
show the first draft, the fifth draft, the 20th draft, saying, is this how you want to be represented? It's not too stereotypical, then it's fine. But don't just throw a cliche out there and think that
Right.
represents everyone because it's too much of an umbrella.
And that's the other thing, that I don't, it's not that I don't appreciate it. I like when authors try to include everybody, but like just throwing a queer character in there to have a queer character,
Hmm.
you can tell when that wasn't planned.
Yeah,
And
like a little
it
tick.
usually, right, exactly. But like my buddy James Kane
Hmm.
wrote a book and he said, "Hey, can I use you in this book? Because I think him being gay would really make his death more impactful."
Hmm.
It was actually quite amazing. If I'm being honest, it was great.
Cool. Okay, yeah. Yeah, you just send it to me afterwards because yeah, I know
I'll
I
send you
know
the
him, but yeah.
yeah, I'll send it was his newest book, Black Friday.
Ah, okay. Yeah. And you're in there with the name too, Jim, or
Yeah.
like reference.
Like
Uh-huh.
he even references the podcast.
Oh, that's
So
nice. Yeah.
yeah, like Mark and I show up wearing our t-shirts and everything.
Okay, that's
And
really cool.
Mark's death is so fitting. So fitting. And one of the big things that I like, and this is just speaking from a personal level, is in my opinion, queer characters should be written just like anybody else, right? Like
Hmm.
it shouldn't really change the story too much if you swap them out for anybody else, right? Whether they're gay, straight, aromantic, the character should still be thought out and positive and just a a good fleshed out character.
Hmm.
And that's what I appreciated about James, the way James Cain wrote my death scene. Like the
Hmm.
only time it comes out about me being gay is when I'm getting killed, which is funny.
Do
It
you
was
scream, "Don't
funny.
kill me, I'm gay"? It's
Well,
too
no,
postmodern.
actually, somebody. So I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler here, but somebody knocks me out,
Hmm.
and she tries to tell people that I tried to rape her.
Oh,
And my last words are, "I didn't try and touch you. I'm fucking gay, you moron."
and then you go.
And then I'm
Sounds
dead.
sounds pretty apt. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Personally, I thought it was so much fun. Um, but anyway, where were we? Oh, so
In Belgium.
my ideal,
It's late
my
here.
ideal,
Sorry, guys. It's 11,
right?
11 in the evening.
It is. So I do appreciate you hanging out with us so late because you probably do have to work in the morning.
But I love chatting with you, so of course.
Oh, of course, of course. We'll have to do it earlier in the day next time we bring you back because
No
you're
worries.
officially a friend of the show now. Not that you weren't a friend of the show before, but apparently I'm supposed to start using that term now. That's what somebody told me. Um,
Okay. Thank you. Our little badge now. So thanks.
yeah, exactly. That might actually work. I might do that. But anyway, so like queer representation for me, like I said, is more about the characters should be interchangeable. It's a part of who they are. It's not all of what they are, right? And
Hmm.
that's the part that I appreciate is when authors take that step and they make you just an amazing, a normal, fully fleshed out character, and then it's that the queerness is just a piece of you. It's not the whole of you, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree on that one. I was never any of the death scenes were never linked to, "Oh, you're gay, you're gonna die," anything like
Right.
that, you know?
Yeah.
Just yeah, part of
Well,
who they
that's why
are,
even
part of.
even in the first book, like you did have a few queer characters, and I loved the fact that they were queer, but it was never meaningful to their storyline. Like you knew it, but
Hmm.
it didn't have any impact on anything that happened to them in the story. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of careful diligence that I appreciate.
Hmm. I'd say they have more importance in the second and third, but in the sense that they're moving towards a found family, but
Right.
in a sense of trauma. Like, what do you do if your entire friend group has been butchered and someone
Right.
else happens to be in the queer spectrum too? You end up, finding a new family, and it's kind of
Yep.
representative of how the queer community sometimes does work in a positive way.
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. You're right, Karen. I
Pardon.
absolutely would say that.
Sorry?
Karen said you would, LOL, you would say that. She's right. I would. Um, so Karen says, like I always see, oh, the bi girl is the easy one. I mean, sometimes.
The what girl? Sorry?
The bi girl. Karen is a
Yeah,
bisexual.
yeah. I was like the bi girl. I was like, what bi?
No.
It's like I'm a die now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She but she's like, oh, the bi girl's always the easy one. And she's like, well, I mean sometimes.
You'd say that with gays too. Yeah, it depends on the situation.
Yeah, you're
Don't quote
not
me on
wrong.
that. Yeah.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, I'll tell you a story offline about
Do
that.
so. Do so.
Anyway, I forgot where we were. So, why don't you, because we probably should have done this in the beginning, like I always fuck it up, but why don't you give out your socials so people know where to follow you?
So it's quite easy. It's Alan Shivers with one L. Alan Shivers author. On Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. I'm mostly on Instagram and TikTok. Facebook a little bit less, but I try to like on forums and stuff. I try to be in different groups. But I'm quite bad at being at like in a million places at the same time. So I try to focus on those. So Alan Shivers author.
Nice, nice. I don't see any other questions. So, what what is the one thing you want readers to take away from the Namaste Slasher? What was your overall overarching message in that book? Or is
Mm.
there one? Is it just a fun slasher?
There's different messages in there. I guess first of all, like that there is the campy side to it that you should still have fun with a slasher, even if it can have deeper meanings and a bit more depth to it than they're a lot more fleshed out the characters than a lot of like 80 slashes, for example, which are fun too.
Yeah.
So I
In the 80s, it
guess
was all about tits and ass. So, I mean,
yeah, and I
that's
mean
all
the,
you had
the
to
gay
have in the.
characters they would have been fodder too, right? So
Yeah,
or the
right.
BIPOC characters, and in this case they play a massive role.
Right.
Um, I guess the being vulnerable and being open to other people that you're meeting in life and everything, that's a big one to me that I try to be as authentic as I can when
Right.
I do podcasts or just on a day-to-day basis. So opening up about mental health, I think is I know is the big one for me. So I
Yeah.
guess that's what I hope people take away, and also maybe pique their interest a little bit in Slavic folklore, because it's set in Croatia, and a lot of it does center at the end, without giving away too much about like Slavic specific things are centered around folklore, that people go, "Ooh, I haven't read about this," or "This sounds interesting," and then maybe do some research, or maybe learn a bit about the history of the Balkans, or the Balkan Wars, or Croatia as such. That would be fun.
Yeah. Chris said he has to remind a friend of his about being bi the other day because he forgets and needs a gentle or not so gentle reminder to be respectful. That's fair, I suppose, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Always good to
Yeah.
call people out on their shit.
I mean, sometimes you just have to, and it's great that you can remain friends even though you have that situation. Um,
And your proper friends, yeah.
yeah, that's pretty great in my opinion. So, Alan, what do you want people to what do you have coming up?
Whew. After the live, I could tell you a little bit more, because the moment it's a secret. There is another slasher coming, completely
Okay.
different genre again to the last four. Well, not genre, but storyline and vibe and everything is going to be very different, of something that you haven't seen together with a slasher yet. I've done my
Okay.
research; it hasn't been done, so I want to make sure that I don't jinx myself and fuck it up.
Right.
And also special edition. So there's a trilogy box set coming out of European Halls. The
Are they going to be
hardcover,
hardback or paperback?
hardback, and with special 3D print with a new design and everything too.
Oh,
That's coming
wow.
out very soon. Then this one is getting a different cover and a hardback version 4th of November. Includes a bonus chapter written by myself and all the ARC readers, so the advanced readers copies, the early reviewers. I basically wrote like a prompt like on Reddit about the lore of the killer, and asked different early reviewers to like answer like in their own message.
Hmm.
And that way it was like a really nice way, I think personally, to get the early reviewers be part of the book. So that will be the bonus chapter, which talks more about the lore of the killer.
Awesome.
And
I
then the
look forward to it.
conventions.
Yeah, I
So
know. I'm excited about that. I'm going to mark it on my calendar so that I make plans so that I can maybe come up to Indiana for Books and Brews. That would be a
yeah,
fun.
love that. It's gonna be my first convention in the US, and then in Canterbury in the UK, that'll be the second one. The first was in Birmingham, and then in my hometown. That feels so nice. I can finally just take a tube, and I don't have to
Right.
spend thousands of euros
Right.
to get my book somewhere. Because whoo, life is pricey when you go to the other side of the world. So yeah,
Oh, it is. You're not wrong. Absolutely not wrong. So you're a big slasher fan, right? And that's no secret.
slasher
Everyone
queen,
knows it,
baby. Yeah.
right? We all know you love slashers. So tell me some of your favorites other than I Know What You Did Last Summer.
How can you? How could you even say it like that?
Just because we've already talked about that.
Yeah, I think my favorite European slasher would be Fritt Vilt, which is Cold Prey in English. It's
Yep.
Norwegian. Also trilogy. I've also been in touch with the director, who's super, super nice, and also the screenwriter. He also made Trolls recently, and Tomb Raider
Oh, that
remake is
new
also a hit.
the troll movie with the troll coming out of the side of the mountain.
Yeah, yeah, that's
That
his,
movie
and
was so much fun.
it's so good.
I
And the
loved it.
second one is finished. Well, he finished shooting it like a couple of 2, 3 months ago, maybe, and he's
Yeah,
really, really nice. So yeah,
I
Cold
love that
Prey.
movie.
Yeah, it's really fun, and it's the highest grossing non-English film ever on Netflix. So he's been doing
Wow.
very well for
Yeah,
himself.
good for him.
Yeah. So Cold Prey would be the favorite European one. If I think of, actually, I really love Your Next. I know it's more of a home invasion one, but one of the more recent 2000s ones.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun movie.
It's very, very tense, which
Yeah.
I love. There's a lot of yeah, and I love the classic. Actually, today is the 50th year anniversary of Black Christmas. So that
Hmm.
was the first, yeah, it's debatable, but the first actual slasher, I guess, the Canadian one. There were proto slashers and Jalios and everything, but
Right.
I guess that was the first one. So today marks 50 years, semi-century of slasher history. Well, more,
Mark
but
isn't here. We don't talk about Giallo. I'm
I
not a
will.
fan. I'm not a fan at all. I do not like
I
Giallo.
am. I am. I kind of semi grew up with it being European, I suppose, it being very Italian and close to where I live. But
Right.
yeah,
That's fair.
um, yeah. So 70s, 80s stuff. Texas Chainsaw, of course, is a massive one.
Of course.
I'm thinking of lesser known. I loved Killer Body Count. That was a recent one on Tubi. It's very campy, very sexual,
Yeah.
really fun, and from the same director that made the Slumber Party Massacre
Yeah.
remake, which is also really fun.
Yep.
So. I love one that kind of subverts tropes and plays with
Yeah.
the final girl trope or final person trope.
Hey,
Um,
Veronica just popped in. Hey, Veronica.
hello.
That's fair. So let's go with recent, whether it's big or independent. What was your most recent slasher watch that you really enjoyed?
Oh, I have to think now because it's gonna a lot, a lot are coming up, I guess. But we're always a little bit delayed in Belgium with releases compared to the US.
Oh, okay.
Sadly, Terrifier 3 is not out till like 10 more days here.
Wow.
Have you watched it, by the
Yep.
way?
No, no, I'm not a fan of those movies.
No? Okay.
I like the
Each to
character of
their
Art
own.
the I like
Yeah.
the character of Art the Clown, but the movies themselves, I can't get over the bad acting. They're so awful.
Hmm.
Like not even in a fun way. They're just terrible. The actors are terrible. With the exception of David Howard Thornton, he is amazing. And that
He's very
character,
good at the
I would
body language and yeah.
yeah, I would love to see that character in a better vehicle. But
Hmm.
that's just I know I'm in the minority because Terrifier 3 is the number one movie in theaters right now
Which
in
is
the US,
amazing for indie. That
right?
alone, even if we don't, if you do or don't like it, I mean, I
Right.
do like them. I think it could open up a lot of doors for indie horror world, and I'm an indie horror,
Yeah.
and all of us are. So I think that is really promising and exciting to be in a day
Yes,
where
I agree.
something unrated gets to number
Yep.
one in an entire massive country like the US.
Yep.
So for that alone, I'll give it an applause.
Yep. I absolutely
Uh,
agree. I give it 100% props for everything it's
mhm.
accomplishing. The movie's
Yeah.
just not for me.
Yeah, that's very fair. I'm also not the biggest fan of gore, to be honest, and the only time I've ever felt queasy with a horror was Terrifier 2 in the bedroom scene. I was like, I literally, my head started spinning a bit. I'd never had that. So I was like, holy crap, this is intense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I prefer a good chase scene over a brutal kill, to be fair. But I
Yeah, I
think
agree. I
recent
agree.
recent ones, help me, give me
Because
some titles of the
so
recent
like
ones.
have you seen In a Violent Nature?
Yes, yes. Also
And
a very divisive film, right?
yes, also very divisive.
Um,
I have not watched it yet.
I have. I watched it with my roommate actually, I remember. It's slow, but I like it sometimes 'cause I think European cinema tends to be slower than American cinema. So
Right.
I saw a lot of people were like, "Oh, there was so much walking." Yeah, but I'm kind of used to different pace of film here
Right.
in Belgium. So I appreciate it for again what it was trying to do. It could have been more effective, but they're already making a sequel, so I always hope that, pacing might change a bit or
Yeah.
s- some very
That's
good
that's
kills in
understandable.
that.
Yep.
But missing chase scenes a little bit for me. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Always, that's so difficult to find in like recent slashers, though.
It is because everybody's trying to subvert expectations or make it just not your standard slasher, but slasher fans want that, right?
All
They're
my
not
books are full of chase scenes, and
yes,
so
right.
bring it
Exactly.
on, people.
Here's one for you. Open 24 hours. Have you seen it?
Open 24 hours. No, is that American?
It is. It's about a girl that works at a convenience store overnight,
Mm-hmm.
and her boyfriend has been, well, her boyfriend has been. I'm not going to ruin it, but it basically this is her getting hunted down at her workplace. It's really a fun film. I
Sounds
saw
quite
it.
insular, no?
It's called. I'm sorry. Say again.
Quite insular, as in like
Yeah.
just her and a. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it basically takes. I'm sorry. I saw it on Momitu, I believe.
Don't know what that
Initially,
is. What is
it's a
that?
streaming service here in the States.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Let me see where you can watch it.
Yeah, it's tricky usually in Europe with those things. We don't have Tubi, we have HBO, but yeah,
Peacock, Redbox, Plex, Sling, and YouTube TV.
none of those. YouTube TV, yeah. So usually I can download it on or buy it on YouTube TV, so that's good. So 24
Yep.
hours, okay.
Open 24 hours.
Open 24 hours, okay.
Yep.
Any other ones that you see on your list? And I'll tell you because I'm always difficult with coming up.
How do you feel about the Winnie the Pooh movies? The live
I've
action
watched the
movies?
first one and I was crying a little bit inside. I
Oh,
mean, oh God, it's so bad. When you talk about acting, I'm sorry, but that is horrendous acting.
you're
Like,
absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
Christ. I mean, it's fun and whatnot, but apparently I heard the second one's better, but I was so disappointed by the first. I really pushed myself to watch the entire thing.
Yep.
Have you watched the second?
I have not seen the second one yet.
Mm.
But unlike you, I enjoyed the first one for its ridiculousness and its schlockiness.
Yeah, I need a bit of depth sometimes. I love it when there's dynamics between like group dynamics in a slasher.
That's fair.
Um, you know?
What about Sick? That's
Oh
on
yeah,
Peacock.
Kevin Williamson. Yeah, of
Yes.
course.
What
Kevin
did you think
Williamson
of
is
that one?
I really like that one for the chasing because that was basically one film of an extended chase scene. I know the
Yes.
ending has people divided again, and I understand. So I
Yep.
won't go into the politics of everything. I appreciate people's different opinions and whatnot, but I really like the chasing and the tension in there and the isolation. Yeah, Kevin Williamson can do no wrong for me. That man, if he would ever give me even the smallest of a chance or a nod, I mean, I could die a happy queer slasher author.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair. Okay, let me see what else I got on my list. One second.
Yeah, Sick was a good one.
Are you a fan of the Happy Death Day movies?
Yeah, is it help me? The second one became a little bit more sci-fi, right?
It did, yes. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like
No, I
2 hours.
like those. I watched them back to back in one day in cinema. Actually, it was like a double feature in Belgium here.
I
Um,
I will be honest, I avoided that movie for 3 years because I hated the main character's name.
which is
Tree.
Namaste, bitch. Sounds like a Namaste name, right?
Yep, it was I was like, you've got to be kidding me. They named their main character Tree. That's
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
almost like Final Destination, right? Allie Larder, I can't handle because her name was Clear Rivers.
oh yeah. Oh, yeah, I think that's a native thing. I never saw it like that. Just saw
I was
Clear
like,
or
you
Claire or
I'm like, right, and I'm not gonna lie, the first 10 years I'd seen Final Destination, I thought it was Claire, and they were just saying
uh-huh.
like maybe they were Canadian, who knows? But it turned out
Hey.
it's Clear Rivers.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'll keep my opinion to myself on that one. Uh,
But anyway, so what about the what is the new Santa one?
oh,
Uh,
mm, that depends. There's a lot of them. There's a UK one coming out too that has a Santa one, of course, Terrifier 3.
hold on 1 second. Yeah, no, this is a hold on. I gotta look up the name. I don't know why I can't remember. It's just escaping me at the moment.
It's age love.
Yeah,
You have to
probably.
embrace it.
It's Christmas Bloody Christmas.
I haven't heard of that one.
It's about a killer robot Santa.
Killer Robot Santa. Okay. That could be like a Korean thing. It sounds a little bit
It's not. It's not.
no?
It's
Okay.
actually written and directed by Joe Bagos. Um, so and if I'm not mistaken, it may be Canadian.
Canadians are pretty good with their slashers, so that'd
Oh,
be
they
fun.
are.
hmm
They are. And Veronica will agree with you. But it was a blast. Like I enjoyed the hell out of it.
That's already out then.
Yes, I saw it on streaming. It came out 2 years ago.
Okay, okay. Oh, I'm behind. I mean,
That's
different time zone, but
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. No, nobody's gonna hold that against you. Well, Karen might.
I've been
Yeah,
writing, okay? I've been writing a lot. So,
that's okay. We don't mind. We don't mind. Um, so we talked about the slashers. Um, what else do we got? Did you see the new Salem's Lot yet?
no, because I'm a fan of the what is it, 79, the first one, I
Yep.
think.
Yep.
Um, I always have this thing a bit old school when I have it with the same one. What is it? Speak No Evil. Like any
Yep.
kind of remake, what I really love an original, I can't really get to watch it. I've tried it with like Black Christmas, and I've learned my lesson.
That's fair. Veronica's saying the show Slasher was really great, and she's right. It was. The first
Yeah,
season, not so much, but it really found its footing in the second season and beyond.
absolutely, and that's Canadian too, right? So yeah, I
Yeah.
remember watching the first one. The leading lady just annoyed the crap out of me. I'm
Yep.
sorry. But the other seasons, yeah, were good. And I'm currently watching the one with I don't know which season it is with this rich family that goes into their
Oh, I think it's
um,
5, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. And then there's one that goes back to I don't
Yeah,
know if
the
it's
next one
Victorian
after that is
times.
yeah, then the one after that is called Ripper, I believe, and that's season 6. I think that's the last season.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm looking forward to watching that. I love anything that historical, because
Yeah.
you know that I'm a geek with architecture and stuff, so that'll be nice to watch
But
that tie in together.
you live in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. I'm sure you don't ever get tired of looking at the architecture there.
No, no, that's true. And actually, I always when I come back to Brussels, I always really appreciate the history and the architecture here, and I think not the
Everything in
worst
the
place to live.
everything in the States is cookie cutter. It's awful. It's like they poured it out of a 3D printer.
Well, yeah, not everything, because there's some older like
Yeah.
the red brick buildings in Brooklyn and stuff. I do appreciate that kind
Well,
of,
yeah, if you go
you
down the
know?
East Coast where they first settled, yes, you have some historic stuff there. Like in
Yeah.
Virginia, they have some beautiful churches, like
hmm
absolutely gorgeous churches.
Yeah.
Um, but for the
Uh,
most part, unless you go to someplace like Chicago or New York, you're not going to see a whole lot. It's going to be
yeah.
pretty cookie cutter and strip mallish.
Uh, and there's also not much history. That's the thing. Like when you say history for us, that's still rather modern building. Here it goes back to like 9th or 13th century, the
Yeah,
buildings in the streets. So yeah,
yeah, exactly.
that I
We
would miss. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But you'll get your taste of it in August, so that'll be good,
Yeah,
right?
I've been to Chicago and actually really enjoyed it. I took like this boat river cruise tour, and the architecture kind of followed. Is it River Hudson? What's the name of the river there again?
No,
Uh,
Hudson's in New York, so it
Oops,
would have to
sorry,
be.
people.
I don't know the name of the river in
Ignorant
Chicago.
European. Yeah, but it's the one that turns green for St. Patty's, right?
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it was really nice because it flowed. The architecture followed the river flow, so I appreciate the thought behind that.
yeah. I think it's beautiful. Let's see, and the funny thing is, I stayed right on the river.
Oh,
It's called
okay.
the Chicago River.
There you go. Pretty apt.
Yeah, I know. I mean, God, ticky tacky little houses. Karen says ticky tacky little houses. She's not wrong. Although Karen has a beautiful home that they are restoring up in Connecticut,
Hmm.
which is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
There is nice architecture, maybe just not as, but it's just different. You can't compare the two. There's just much more history here, but that's just logical. So
Well, I mean, yeah, because you're an older country for sure.
yeah,
Veronica's saying she's seen the bean before and it's pretty. So,
yeah. Me
Veronica, let
too.
me tell you a little bit of a story. Karen's house was built in 1760.
Oh yeah, yeah, fairly old. Nice.
Amazing. So, I'll tell you a story about when I went to see the bean, right? We went walking on our last day in Chicago, and I said, I have to get myself a picture flicking the bean.
Sorry, I was just gonna have some water. Bad timing.
Yeah. So I did. I got a picture of me flicking the bean, and I sent it to my boss. I'm like, my life is complete now.
That's the day you got sacked, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Nope. Still employed, just different boss.
Okay, there you go. You're flicking a different beat now. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Uh-huh.
Have
Anyway,
you watched Speak No Evil, the new one, by the way?
I have not, but I will watch. I will drink James McAvoy's bathwater. I will be
Yeah.
honest.
I mean, Holler in the new trailer, I was like, oh, I really love the original, and I know they're not gonna go there probably with the remake. Um, they can't really, I think, with American censorship and whatnot. Well, after Terrifier,
I've heard
I
really
don't know.
good things about the remake, though.
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
heard, hmm, I've heard some things about the original.
Yeah.
Oh, Karen, it's Man, I Love Frogman,
Yeah. I also just saw MILF and I was like, hold on, something is not lining up here.
right? Yeah, it's Man, I Love Frogman because, as you know, we interviewed Anthony Cousins, the director of Frogman, not too long ago. So I bought this shirt because I thought it was hysterical. And I get the most
Good merch.
compliments on this shirt when I go out in public.
Sure you do. They'll think you're a creep, but other than that, all
No,
good.
they're like, one guy goes, "Oh, Frogman." The lady today, when I was at Publix, she's like, "Frogman, he loves frogs."
Oh,
Okay.
just random, but all right.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. But anyway, where were we going? Um, so tell us
Chicago.
about some of your favorite books right now. What books have you been reading?
Arc reading some from Matt Clark, which is a new Christmas one that's out.
Is that
Um,
Matt Duchessois in his real name?
no, Matt Clark's the real name. That was from previous publishing. So Matthew Clark's
Right.
yeah, the
Duchessois
current
was his
name.
pen name or whatever, right?
Yeah, from the past exactly. So that's really good. Then Emerald O'Brien's new book is out, Bleach 3. I'm gonna start that one tomorrow. She has got a slasher series out, 5 of them in total. Yeah, she's great. She's Canadian from Toronto. She's been my mentor, to be fair, from the beginning.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Sarah Jules and stuff now. Um, and to be very honest, the last 2 months I haven't read much because I've just published a book again.
Hmm.
So that's the time when you keep reading your own book and looking for commas and errors. And
Right.
but I'm glad that it's out now. So the idea is in November and December to read a heck of a lot more so that I can review more for for colleagues and fellow friends, let's say.
Right. Absolutely. I have, and I was just talking to Karen and Veronica about this. With all the changes that have popped up lately, I haven't been
Hmm.
reading much, so
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I want to be
of
getting
course.
back into that very, very shortly.
Yeah, it's also kind of sometimes it feels more peaceful, even if it's horror rather than watching. There's
Yep.
something about like taking your own rhythm and your own pace and stopping where you can or where you want
Right.
to. It's just sometimes about getting there. Like I
Yep.
don't want to watch too much TV the next month because I just want to make sure that I read and
Yep.
to get back into, promoting and helping fellow indie horror authors too. So,
Yep. I'm reading the book, the last book I picked up that I'm only 20 pages in because I picked it up right before all the stuff went down.
hmm
is The Willows by K.L. Allister.
Oh, okay. I don't know it to be honest.
So he generally writes extreme horror,
Mm-hmm.
and he's very good at it. This one is extreme, but it's folklore, and um, it's not so much like about what people do to each other. You know,
Okay,
it's got some mythos to it. So I'm excited.
that's
I
nice.
haven't
Yeah.
really felt like reading much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anything folkloric. There's the Chris Jones's new book was released today as well. It's a novel about, I remember about Second World War Nazis going into a house and there's some kind of a babushka Slavic witchcraft connected to it, I think. And I'm gonna read that one as well, Baba Yaga. That sounds really nice.
So have you seen the movie Overlord? That brings up the movie Overlord to me.
No.
So
God, see, I haven't done
Overlord
much, have I? Just writing.
So
Boring, boring bitch.
Overlord has been out for a little while, but it starts off as a World War II movie and then moves into Nazi exploitation where they're doing zombie experiments on people.
Oof.
It takes this like 90-degree turn in the center of the movie, but it
Mm-hmm.
does it really well so that it doesn't ruin the rest of the movie, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds intriguing. I also, it's always a little bit tricky, not gonna lie, when there's like Second World War, Nazi, whatever, because it's really kind of close to home, quite
Right.
literally.
Yeah, of course.
Also like family-wise, and this concentration camp, like 10, 15 minutes from where I live, and I grew up with it, and so those kind of things I tend to not to look at too much, but I mean, appreciate that it's used in film and in
Yeah,
literature.
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Karen is saying that the Willows had her yelling at characters. I don't know why, Karen, but you'll need to message me the reason.
Mm-hmm. But
Um,
that sounds enticing.
it does, it does. Hopefully you were yelling to keep them away from things and not what the fuck is your problem?
Yeah,
So
we
what
like
was
someone
your
who's likable.
Yeah, exactly. I hate unlikable characters, which is the reason I don't like a whole lot of found footage, right? Because the characters are generally so unlikable.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. Same with books as well. Like I like writing likable characters, but they're flawed. Fair enough, like we all are. But
Yeah, of course.
I want to root for them. Find a very difficult time when someone's just an absolute knobhead. That I'm
Yes.
not going to invest in that person. There's no empathy, and I mean I get it. Some people do it, and it's just a different style. It's not worse or anything, but
Right.
not my jam. I
Yeah, I
want
agree.
people to root for my characters, the ones I write, and others. So
I was supposed to do an interview earlier today, but I had to cancel because I wasn't feeling great. With one of the writers of this new movie called Invoking Yell.
invoking what? Yell?
Invoking Yell.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Spanish language horror film, and it's found footage. And I kid you not, the only character you actually like in this film is the one they killed off.
But that hopefully has an impact on that death scene. Because that
No,
does
no,
work too. No? Okay, never
I was
mind.
annoyed. I was annoyed, but I thought it was really great that there was no happy ending. It was
Hmm.
very dark, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to talk to him about was, why were the characters so unlikable? Like, why
Hmm.
did they do that? Like, did you ever meet anybody in high school that thought they were really artsy and creative, but they were
Yeah.
just so full of themselves and what they were doing was garbage?
Arty farty, right?
Yeah, right.
That's oh yeah, yeah. But yeah,
That's
all
the two main characters in the movie.
I know, blah. And there's so
Oh,
many of them nowadays too, because you have the hipsters become glorified and mainstream, so people get more and more for arty farty. So no, no,
right. Yeah,
no, thanks.
exactly. If you're
Is
really
it?
creative, that's great. If you're
Yeah.
not, stick to the sidelines, my friend.
Is the director was what if you don't mind me asking if it's not censorship, what was the name of the director? Because I think I might know.
I'd have to look up. It's
Oh
Brian.
no.
I don't know who the
If you're saying
director is.
Spanish,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I was thinking, okay, okay.
Let me see. I will get you the names because I was not able to talk to him directly. I keep thinking this is my work computer and that it's touchscreen and it's not.
Again, age, my friend.
I know. So it's set in the 90s, which makes sense because they don't use cell phones.
Uh-huh.
Handheld camera.
Gasp. Clutch your pearls.
So Patricio Velarde was the director,
No, then I
and
don't know.
he was not able to make it. So we were going to talk to Barry Keating.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna ask, have you watched Last Matinee by
I
Maxi?
have not. No.
Because that is one of the. I was thinking again, because you're saying the slashes last year, and I'm someone who always comes up with answers way too late. But I
Right.
really love the stylistic elements of that one because it's set in Montevideo, the capital of Uruguay, in the 90s, and
Yep.
everything is very insular. Is set in a movie cinema. They're watching a horror film, and there's basically a killer uh, yeah, in the cinema,
Yeah.
but it's done in such a stylistic way. It has an element of giallo, which I know you don't like, but not to the style where it becomes a giallo. It's still very much a slasher.
Right. And
Um,
like it's not even the style of giallo. Like, I'll give you for instance, right? Mark made me watch The New York Ripper as my
mhm,
introduction to giallo movies.
yeah.
So many bad choices in that film, like the killer talking like Donald Duck. The
It's a choice.
it is. It's definitely a choice. I hated it. I hated that. I hated the logic that they used to justify this man killing people. I thought it was just a huge stretch. I think what I need to do is watch more giallo type stuff when I'm in a mood to just let go and enjoy some kill scenes, right?
Yeah,
Um,
but there are some good ones with proper like storylines and too. Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and that's fair. That's fair. I just haven't seen any yet.
hmm Send you a little list then, because I
There
know
you
that
go.
you like likable, a bit of depth, a bit of,
Like, I
like
mean,
proto.
the biggest thing I had with I'll be honest, the one thing that bothered me the most in New York Ripper is there's a scene where a woman is violated by somebody's foot,
Ooh, okay, that's
and I'm like,
unnecessary.
no, not doing this.
hmm
But again, that's my personal hang up, so I nothing against the film for that. It was definitely a choice, but
hmm
and Veronica loved the movie, liked the movie, so
Which one? The one you're on about, New
yeah,
York
the New
Ripper,
York
or
Ripper.
yeah?
Yep, yep,
But
Veronica
people should
liked
definitely watch the last matinee too. That one has different names in I don't know in English. It's also called Red something. But try last matinee, and I know you can watch it on YouTube Film for me, so probably more options for you being from the States and Canada and stuff. But yeah, that's a really fun one. And I know there's probably a second one in the making because I've talked to the director
it. I
of
think
that
the
one
one
too.
from 2022.
Yep, yep. Yeah, and really nice director. He's from Uruguay, and
Nice.
he's currently filming a paranormal Spanish horror movie.
Oh, nice. I don't see any other names, but it is available on Tubi, Freevee, and for rent on Prime Video.
Ah, okay. Yeah, but I
So
saw it on YouTube too, but maybe it depends on where you live, right?
yeah,
So,
it probably isn't available in this country. Like
hmm
Veronica might be able to find it because there's some weirdness that goes on between the US and Canada. That invisible line really makes a difference when it comes to streaming for some reason.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, we don't get anything. We just have
Yeah.
Netflix, HBO, and Disney Plus, and that's really it. And then some Flemish channels that I can't be arsed to watch. But yeah,
That's fair. That's fair. So, Alan, I do want to say thank you for joining me today. This has been a
of course,
blast,
love.
and I absolutely needed to be able to talk to a kind soul today. So, thank you very much.
Likewise, of course, goes both ways.
Absolutely. So, everybody that's watching the live stream, thank you for hanging out with us. I'm going to end the live stream now, and then you and I will talk a little bit more, Alan, about your next visit.
Definitely. Thanks, people.
Thank you, everybody.